Did you ever find yourself having to share your LinkedIn profile URL, but it looks something like this? Now there's an actual fix to that. You want to go into your profile, public profile and URL, click on edit, and up here, you're just going to go ahead and put whatever you like. Keep it short, keep it personalized. Hey everybody, welcome back to this video. Andrea here. Today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn. What a social network. It's probably the social network where the network word means the most. It's kind of controversial. Now we all know LinkedIn is pretty useful, but at the same time pretty controversial. As we said, today we're not going to be talking about how to leverage it in order to make it useful. We're mainly going to focus on your LinkedIn profile. So the way you present yourself, like the first point of contact with you and other people. Now, just before we begin, I just want to say that these tips are going to be like some ground rules and based on my experience. So completely biased on my experience and of the people that I met in these years. We're mainly going to focus on the don'ts rather than the do's, because what I feel like when you have a LinkedIn profile that is actually good, you're not even going to notice. But if there's like huge mistakes, that's what you're going to remember. So we're mainly going to focus on the right things and forget about the bad things. So during this video, feel free to stop and edit your profile along the way with me if you feel like it. Now, why you should listen to these beardless 20-year-old guy? Well, I've actually used LinkedIn for 4 years now, since I was in high school, and I've grown my community to 5,000 followers on the platform. I've reached out to more than 500 people, CRM proof, in order to really understand like the industry and what I really want to do in the future. I worked with LinkedIn, like I've done sales with it, and in the end I cold reached jobs in a venture capital firm here in Italy at 19. So this is where I stop bragging and where we start talking. Let's just jump right in. So the first very important key thing here is not to make mistakes. Sometimes I see people that don't have like the capital letter at the beginning. Please don't do that. And I see every type of mistake. I would say probably another very common mistake, we're going to scroll down a bit, is probably where you put your company or your university and you don't check that it exists in LinkedIn or if it matches perfectly. For example, here my high school doesn't have a LinkedIn profile, so it's just going to show up like this. When I see people that work in like big companies and they have this, it means they didn't link their LinkedIn profile with this. This is actually key. If people want to search for you, like for example, if people search for my university, I'm going to show up because I'm linked to my university and the university that I just finished. And same goes for the company, but if it's not linked, that's not going to show up. So this is something that you really want to keep in mind for, just to avoid very simple mistakes. Now, after the mistakes you really want to understand before building your profile is the type of LinkedIn user that you want to be. Are you a student? Are you someone that already had like 20 years of career? Are you actually an influencer or a creator or a freelancer that want to leverage the LinkedIn profile to get clients? Are you a founder that needs to build their profile based on like their company? And once you've done that, you can really understand the direction you want to take with your profile. Now, I'm actually not the best guy to talk about this because my profile is pretty mixed. I'm a creator, but at the same time, I've just finished being a student, and I've worked as a salesman as well for a startup. So my profile had like changed shapes a lot, and I think in the very early stages in your career, that's pretty okay. Now, an honorable mention to when your profile should be like company branded. Like I often see profiles that basically looks like a company, not like a person on LinkedIn. Now that is the case for startup founders. They really need to build their profile around their company in order to sell it publicly, let's say. Same thing goes for salesmen. Rather than that, maybe CEOs of very big companies, I don't really see the use, even though you're obliged, but in that case, I don't think you're in a great company, let's say that, to really brand your profile, like have the banner here, company branded, and here just really talk about your company in your profile. Like in your profile, you should talk about yourself. You should display yourself, not the company you're currently working with. Also because it's possible that you're not going to be working for that company forever. Now let's talk about a very, very delicate topic, the profile pic and the banner. Now the profile pic, buckle up because this is going to take a while. I've seen everything when I was working as a salesman and I had to reach out on LinkedIn to thousands of people when I was working in VC, and I had to check the LinkedIn of the founders when I was recruiting for my student club. I've seen absolutely everything. Now this is mine at the moment. I have to say I'm not a huge fan of this because it's too much. It's too formal. It's maybe 2 or 2.5 years old, this picture. And I know it's very hard to get pictures like of this type. Maybe check with your university if they have a service and they allow you to do that. Otherwise, you can just blur the background. Again, this goes the principle: a good one, you're not even going to notice, but a bad one, that's what you're going to remember. So a couple of tips I would say is to focus on the face. Like this picture originally was zoomed out a lot, so I kind of decided to move it further with the face. This is, you can usually see this with people with a personal brand, especially like when you go here and you comment or you do a post, like your LinkedIn profile pic, it's not going to be that visible. So it's very important that your face is clear. Another tip is to not change it too often because you want people to actually remember you just by looking at your profile pic. Again, a couple of tips is don't include other people in your profile pic. I don't take a lot of picture of myself, so it was very, very hard for me as well. But please don't just take a group photo and just cut yourself, or don't take your graduation day with the crown in Italy as your LinkedIn profile pic. That, like, the fact that you did university doesn't define your career path. So just make sure that your face is visible and you're good to go, in my opinion. Now with AI, I've seen pictures, and I would say that as of today, you can kind of tell when someone uses AI for their LinkedIn profile, and it's probably not the most elegant thing in the world, in my opinion, but that's completely up to you. Now, something that really that shows up here is the green banner and the purple banner. One is for hunting, job hunting, and one is for job hiring. So you often see founders with the purple banner, and that is because they're looking for someone to hire. But I have to be honest, especially the green one, like that signal open to work, like I'm open for a job. I don't know. Let's be honest. It just looks awful. And I have to say that if you're competitive enough, recruiters will reach out either way, even if you already have a job or if you don't have the banner. I don't really see a genuine benefit. I'm happy if you want to prove me wrong here in the comments. I generally don't see the value in it, and it just looks awful. Now with the cover image, you can really do what you want. I've seen people with no banner. I've seen people with like mono color banner. That's completely fine. Just don't put an awful one. Just don't make like huge mistakes. Like another picture of yourself, which this is not Facebook, please don't do that. What I have to say, like if you're a creator, or like if you really want to stand out, this is as well what, like on mobile you can't really see a lot of the banner. It's just very small overall. There's more like the picture is more relevant, but I just put it again 3 lines that showcase what I've done. And same goes for the headline. There's tons of debates around this. I've seen people with 5 lines of headline. Keep in mind there is the about page for that. I've seen people with very few words and highlighted, like in the black format, the one that you can just copy from the web and just have it thicker. I've seen people with just their university. Like the thing that I really encourage you not to do is to go like super generic. Like I've done Bachelor of Business Administration here and here and here. and then I've done this master here and here and here. Like that doesn't define, like that just makes you like equal to at least 50,000 people in the world. I'm pretty sure, like 100%. So but that was hard also for me. Like when I had a newsletter, I was basically showcasing that tips and tricks for fellow students and young professional. That was my line. Now I just have VC, startup, and sales, which is basically my 3 cores right now. I'm probably going to change it in the future. I'm not a huge fan. And then Lewis is the university I attended. Now let's talk about, as I said, this is going to be a very, very specific tutorial. If you're here just because you want to set it up quickly and just run it, this is not the video for you. Like today, we're going to be looking at every single detail in your profile. Now, where you live is important on LinkedIn. I've seen people that come from very small villages, small towns, and maybe now they live in Rome, they live in Milan, they live in Paris, and they still have that they live in the small village on LinkedIn. You really don't want to do that, because LinkedIn is for you to connect with people and also for recruiters to reach out. So there's like no way people are going to reach out if you come from a small village. But so whether you change place, please put it. Like right now I'm in Milan, I just put Milan. When I'll be in Arizona in a few months, I will put that. Now, a note here: if you're job hunting in a specific place that it's not where you live, you might put that. Like for example, if I'm looking for a job as an SDR in Dublin, I'll just put Dublin, so recruiters will reach out automatically. Note that this is pretty risky. Recruiters might not love that, especially if you're not allowed to work in the country, like the United States, for example. So just be very mindful with that. Otherwise, I'll just stick with where you live right now. Just put it on LinkedIn. And even if you live maybe in a small village, just put the closest big city. In my opinion, that just works as well. Now, contact info. Keep in mind that when you set up your LinkedIn profile, a lot of your personal information are going to show up. Like for example, here you can just see your email and your birthday. So if you're someone that doesn't like to have this type of information displayed, just keep in mind there's settings and you can just remove that. And then you have the possibility to insert a link here. Now this happens when I think you are in creator mode. You can just go into the settings and just turn your profile into a creator mode. This will showcase followers before connection. Otherwise, followers are just showcased here in activity. So here I just linked my personal website. You can do whatever. Now we're not going to cover analytics. They're just here. And I rarely find that they're going to be useful if you're not an influencer or if you don't post. I haven't posted in a year now, so you can just see I kind of heard it on my impressions. Now the about page, again, I've seen people putting everything here. If you're job hunting for a specific job, you might want to put some keywords and some important stuff in here. I'm not the type of like writing pages and pages of what I did in my life. There's my website for that. So here I just put like a tiny phrase, pretty cringy to be honest, but that's just the reality of LinkedIn, is embracing the cringiness. Now there's activity. Here you can feature posts, so they'll show up, like always show up on top. I don't currently have some of those. I'll probably have one in the future, maybe sponsoring this YouTube video that is coming out. And here, reminder to like always keep in mind that LinkedIn is not like the other social media. What you post, especially, but then what you comment and what you like, it's going to be shown to the people that are connected or that follows you. So if I like, for example, the chrono post, then all my connections are going to see the post that I liked, even if they don't follow chrono. So this is very important, and like quick reminder to not put likes to weird stuff that might, discredit your credibility. Don't go too deep into political stuff. I know you might have some ideas, but I would just keep them off LinkedIn, or at least that's what I've done, and that's what I will keep doing it. If you do this on X or if you do that on Instagram, it's just going to be like a comment under a post that probably nobody is going to see. But if you do it on LinkedIn, yeah, it's going to be showcased to everyone. to your boss, your future boss, and whatever. So just please stay out of this. Now let's just dive into the sauce, the experience. This is probably where I can help you less. We're probably gonna cover a couple of these features in maybe a future CV video. I'm just jotting down some ideas. What I have to say here is to actually showcase what you've done with actual actionable bullet points, like I've done this, I've done that, and not just talking about the company, talk about the impact you had. Again, make sure that the company you worked with is linked so that people can check out what I've done. For example, worked in Chrono, you can check out the page like this. If it wasn't connected, you couldn't have done that. Now, an honorable mention, like I just want to stress the fact that I was like, when I started in high school, I had absolutely nothing in my experiences because, you know, I did a couple of trading, I had an e-commerce, I did some very small things like video editing, but those are not really things that you can just put on LinkedIn. Of course, you can do that at the very beginning to put a little bit more stuff. So yeah, at the beginning, just don't care if there's no experience. It's just completely normal. Try to focus on not making mistakes like we've seen before, and to have everything on point. And then with the time, you're just gonna add the experience. And when the experience turn like they become too much, what I don't like to see is this show more. So for example, now I have these experiences, and if I added one more, it would show more. And the venture capital, which I feel like it was probably the most important thing that I've done until now, would be hidden. So what I decided to do is to take a little bit of the, like, I don't want to say volunteering, but like extracurricular activities and put it into volunteering. Like for example, Argo. I decided to move it there. It was like a community that we were managing. So I would say as you move on, if you don't want to like keep a long list here, there's still people that keep a huge list here. There is investors that have every company they've invested here. So there's like a huge talk around this. Now let's just jump into education here. Really nothing to say. If you want to put a high school, put it. Otherwise it's just whatever. And now what most people do is if your university is not really famous, you can just display the rankings. Of course, these rankings, they've been a little sneaky sometimes. They're not really attainable, but I mean, if this is the only way that you can let someone that is not from your country know that this is university you attended to, that's great. That's really the only thing I have to say for education. Also, I just thought about another thing. If you do summer schools, if you do video recorded courses from specific schools, if you do certification, don't stress too much in putting them in education. Or for example, if you do like a summer course online on Stanford, please don't put that you've been to Stanford here. It's just not going to work, please. So this is really the only thing I have to say here, very important. Again, we're focusing on the mistakes that, in my opinion, you don't have to make. This is based on my experiences and all my biases. I'm happy to be wrong, and I'm happy if you want to showcase your opinion in the comments. Now, I would say that here, besides volunteering, it's always important. I'm in the Mentors for You program, and whatever you've done, just put it here. Besides this point, we reached the Pareto 80%. Like, all you need to do is already there. What we're gonna do for the rest of the video is really to focus on those tiny little details that are not gonna make a difference, like in any way. But we're gonna cover it anyway because that's a 100% LinkedIn guide tutorial. Also, at the end of it, we're gonna cover a couple of settings that you wanna have for your LinkedIn profile that don't genuinely impact what people see, but they're still gonna be super useful in my opinion. So we're gonna do that after talking about license and certification. Now, I've done hundreds of them. To be honest, I've followed everything, especially when I was in high school at the very beginning, like a university. I did Bloomberg, I did Y Combinator. So these three are the only one that survived. Like I decided not to keep the others. It just doesn't make sense. If you have an English certification, I didn't put it, but you might want to put it if it's like C1 or C2. So yeah, those three are the only one that stand out. I've done also other things that really don't match what I'm doing at the moment, sales course and whatever. So I just decided not to showcase them. Volunteering, yeah, we just covered. Then there is the skills section. Now this is like at the beginning I had maybe 5 or 10 skills showcased. And they were like connected to the experience I've done here, the experience I've done there. I don't find that useful at all. I just kept teamwork, to be honest, because it was endorsed by 10 people. Basically endorsement works like someone has to come to your profile and say, yeah, this person has this startup skill, sales skill, or whatever. I just kept teamwork. I've seen everything. I've seen people joke a little bit about this too, of people with 99 endorsement at something and then they're not actually even have experience there, or I mean all those type of things. Again, you can just completely forget about this. Now, recommendation here, it's really the side of pat on the shoulder on LinkedIn. This is part of the social network. Basically, what I did was just collecting the opinions of my colleagues, my peers. This is the founder of the startup I worked with last summer, and then my very first internship, this was my associate, and then I have a couple of more you can decide to display or not, and then you can also give recommendation. If you actually want to get recommendations, but you don't really want to ask it, just I don't know. I had a very chill relationship with all my bosses until now, but if you don't feel like it, just give a recommendation, and it will maybe come back. And again, now let's just jump into the very last two. There's languages and interests. Now, languages is important because if you know a language, you should say it here. I've seen Italian people not display the Italian language for some reason. You want to put it here, but also as well, same applies to the CV. If you don't actually speak a language, don't put that you have full professional. Because if you know like 10 words in Spanish, you're not able to work in Spanish. Don't put it here because recruiter will reach out and then eventually it's gonna come out. And then again, we're gonna stress the fact that everything you do on LinkedIn is public. Every company and you follow potentially may be shown here. So companies, groups, newsletters, schools, like everything is going to show up here. So just be mindful. You don't want to have strange people in here. Well, this is pretty much it on the profile side. Congratulations if you made it to this point. I hope this was useful. Now let's just dive in super quickly in settings and privacy, because I think there is something that is pretty important and it's called visibility. The only real setting, this is the setting that I toggle on and off. I just wanted to stop and just look at it. I don't think they're very important. Maybe if you're very privacy oriented, you can just toggle some of these off. But what I like to do is profile viewing option, private mode. In this way, you can't see in any way. Although, I mean, if you have the LinkedIn Premium, yes, you can. You can't see who views your profile. Like we've seen, there's 200 people that viewed my profile in the last, I don't know. So I can't actually see, like here, people viewed my profile. You can't see this. I wouldn't advise to just pay for LinkedIn Premium just to see who views your profile. But this also allows you to be stealth like this when you watch other people's profiles. So you can just navigate freely and not be traced by anybody. Be mindful that some people may still trace you back if they have LinkedIn Premium. Okay, and this was pretty much it. Thank you so much for arriving to this point. This was my very first video. We're gonna be covering maybe other things about LinkedIn, other things about career, tech, and productivity in the future. I hope this was useful. If so, leave a like, leave a comment here. Consider subscribing because few interesting videos, as we said, are gonna come out soon. And that's it for today, and see you in the next one.